In December 1903, experienced lighthouse keepers disappeared from a remote Scottish island. There were no witnesses, no farewell message, and no bodies. The lighthouse remained standing above the Atlantic, but James Ducat, Thomas Marshall, and Donald McArthur had vanished more than a century later. Their final hours are still uncertain. The setting was Eilean Mòr, the largest of the Flannan Isles, about 21 miles west of the Isle of Lewis. The island was small, rocky, and surrounded by dangerous water. Its lighthouse had only been operating for about a year. During winter, the keepers lived far from their families, responsible for keeping the powerful lamp burning through darkness, rain, and violent seas. The principal keeper was James Ducat. Thomas Marshall served as second assistant. Donald McArthur was an occasional keeper, temporarily replacing a colleague who was ill. Their work followed strict routines. They cleaned the lens, maintained the lamps, recorded the weather, and watched the landing equipment. They were trained men, familiar with storms and with the risks of an isolated lighthouse station. At around midnight on the 15th of December, the steamship Archer passed the Flannan Isles during poor weather. Its crew noticed something wrong. The lighthouse was dark. The observation was reported after the ship reached port, but the information did not immediately bring help to the island. Whatever had happened to the keepers may already have been over. A routine relief visit had been planned, but bad weather delayed the lighthouse tender Hesperus. It finally approached Eilean Mòr on the 26th of December, 11 days after the light had been seen dark. Captain James Harvey expected the keepers to signal and prepare for the landing. Instead, there was no flag, no provision boxes waiting at the landing, and no person visible on the island. The ship sounded its whistle and fired a rocket. Still, no one answered. Relief keeper Joseph Moore went ashore and climbed the steep path alone. As he approached the station, the silence became more disturbing. The gate and main entrance were closed. Moore entered, expecting to find an explanation. Instead, he found an empty lighthouse. Inside, the rooms did not show signs of a violent struggle. The kitchen equipment was clean, and the beds were empty. The lamps had been cleaned and prepared. Popular retellings often describe an overturned chair and an unfinished meal, but those details are not supported by Joseph Moore's account. The real scene was less theatrical, and perhaps more unsettling. 3 men appeared to have left their duties and simply never returned. The clothing provided an important clue. 2 men appeared to have taken their outdoor gear, while one oilskin coat remained behind. Investigators believed Ducat and Marshall had gone outside properly dressed. McArthur may have followed quickly, without taking his coat. Leaving the lighthouse unattended broke normal procedure, suggesting that the final man believed an urgent emergency was happening outside. The search of the island found the strongest evidence at the western landing. Iron railings had been bent, a wooden box used for ropes had been damaged, with equipment scattered. Turf had been torn away near the cliff edge, and heavy storm damage was visible far above the normal waterline. The eastern landing, by comparison, was largely undisturbed. The clues pointed toward the sea. The official investigation concluded that the men had probably gone to secure equipment at the west landing. A powerful wave may have swept 1 or 2 keepers into the Atlantic. The remaining man could have rushed out to help and suffered the same fate. Sudden waves around steep cliffs can be far larger than the surrounding sea, and the physical damage showed that immense water had struck the island. But the theory cannot answer every question. Why would all three experienced keepers approach a dangerous landing at once? Why was the lighthouse left without a man on duty? And why was no body or definite personal item recovered? Other stories later suggested violence, abduction, or supernatural forces. There is no reliable evidence for those claims. Even the famous emotional logbook entries circulated online cannot be verified from the surviving official records. The most likely explanation remains a tragic accident involving the sea, yet likelihood is not certainty. Ducat, Marshall, and MacArthur disappeared without a witness, leaving only an empty station and storm-damaged cliffs. The Flannan Isles Lighthouse continued operating, but its silence in December 1900 created a mystery that still endures. What do you believe happened to the three keepers?